Hello, listening friends, and welcome to another episode of Truth Matters. I'm Linda Meyer, and here on Truth Matters, our teacher Frank Thomas discusses biblical topics from a Reformed theology perspective. This week, he will be discussing doveriai, no proveriai, meaning trust but verify. Our text comes from Acts 17:10-12. As we dive into this week's topic, doveriai, no proveriai, or trust but verify, we want to emphasize how this principle is not just relevant in the arena of international relations, but also deeply applicable to our lives as Christians. In Acts 17:10-12, we see Paul and Silas arriving in Berea, where they were met by an eager audience who received the word with great enthusiasm. However, what stands out is their attitude. They examined the scriptures daily to see if what Paul said was true. This is a perfect illustration of the trust but verify principle. The Bereans trusted the message of Paul, a recognized apostle, but they also felt the need to verify it against the scriptures. So how does this apply to us today? First, it reminds us of the importance of discernment in our faith. In a world filled with a myriad of teachings and interpretations, it's crucial for us as believers to engage with Scripture ourselves. We must not take everything we hear at face value, even when it comes from well-known pastors or leaders. The Bereans set an example for us. They encouraged us to investigate, question, and seek the truth. And now, here's Frank.
Hello, friends. Our study today will be on the phrase and the idea behind trust but verify, which is a proverb that emphasizes the importance of being cautious and pragmatic in our relationships and decision-making processes. Although it became very widely recognized through its use by President Ronald Reagan in discussions about U.S.-Soviet relations, the principle is deeply rooted in the need for good judgment. Trusting without verifying can lead to misguided beliefs and decisions, resulting in negative consequences. In this Bible study, we will examine Acts, the 17th chapter, verses 10-12, which recounts the approach the Bereans had to Paul's message. We will explore how their noble character exemplified the principle of trust but verify, and consider the benefits this approach brings to believers. Let's read the scripture. Verse 10 of chapter 17. As soon as it was night, the believers sent Paul and Silas away to Berea. On arriving there, they went to the Jewish synagogue, verse 11. Now the Berean Jews were of more noble character than those in Thessalonica, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul said was true. Verse 12. As a result, many of them believed, as did also a number of the prominent Greek women and men. Let's analyze these verses. Verse 10. The passage begins with Paul and Silas being sent away to Berea under cover of night due to rising opposition. This context highlights the risk involved in spreading the gospel and illustrates the seriousness which the early church approached sharing and receiving theological teachings. When we go to church, what's the attitude? Why do we go there? Are we doing God's business? Are we there to learn or perpetuate tradition? Verse 11, noble character of the Bereans. The Bereans are described as having noble character. This phrase suggests a few key attributes. Engagement to learn. Do we go to church to learn or just to enjoy the music or just reminisce on some of the old mother wit we keep hearing? Eagerness to learn. The Bereans received the message with great eagerness. That's what the scripture says. This implies an open heart and mind ready to receive new truths. How can you learn if you're stuck on traditions? This is the way we always did it here. Not ready for change. Critical examination. They didn't just accept Paul's word passively. They examine the scriptures every day. That's where you get your foundation. Not how well somebody presented a speech, saying things that you can agree to all the time. They examine the scriptures. It's important to understand what God is saying and what it means to you. This demonstrates a commitment to verifying teachings against God's words. Is what's being taught in Scripture? Or does Scripture say something different than what's being taught? Verse 12. The result of verification. As a result of their approach, many Bereans came to believe, including prominent Greek women and men. That's the whole idea. That's how God wanted it to work. This shows the benefits of their diligence in verifying what they were taught. It's unfortunate, but many churchgoers are preacher dependent. They don't want to take on the responsibility of actually reading a scripture. They want it to be taught to them. And you know what happens? If you don't have the foundation in you, somebody else can tell you anything. Anything. Their willingness to question and seek understanding led to a genuine faith and strengthened that church community. Now, here are some benefits to the believers. Strengthen faith by verifying the teaching on your own. Believers build a more robust foundation for their faith. That's what John MacArthur said. Number 2, protection from deception. Like I said before, if you don't do the background check, if you don't verify, You're subject to believe whatever somebody else is saying. Verification can act as a safeguard against false teaching and misleading doctrine. R.C. Sproul. You know, I mentioned these other theologians because they're credited for having high standards of doctrinal training and teaching. Sometimes you have to listen to people who know more than you so that you can learn. Number 3, it encourages growth. Engaging in Scripture fosters spiritual growth and a deeper relationship with God. Charles Haddon Spurgeon. Number 4, community support. The Bereans likely discussed their findings with one another. That's how we learn. Discussion, give and take, agreeing and disagreeing, which encourages a collective pursuit of truth. Billy Graham. John MacArthur once said, Scripture is the authority in the life of the believer and should be the final arbiter of all teaching, not speculation without foundation. Oh, it sounds good. It sounds religious. Or rationalization without foundation. R.C. Sproul. We must be willing to examine what we hear and evaluate it against the truth of Scripture, not the other way around. Not blocking your ears or having your ears blocked. I don't want them to hear that. I want them to listen to me. Charles Haddon Spurgeon. A Bible that is falling apart usually belongs to a person who isn't. John Calvin. Truth is the foundation of faith, and we must seek it diligently. We can't be passive about this. We have to take on some responsibility for ourselves. Billy Graham. The Bible is the authoritative source of truth for any believer. The noble character of the Bereans. The Bereans exhibited noble character through their readiness to receive and verify Paul's message. They demonstrated a balance between trust in Paul as a messenger and the need for verification through Scripture. Their approach serves as a model for believers today in discerning truth and fostering a genuine faith. That's when there is actual teaching going on. The role community support. Community support played a significant role in the Bereans' approach. Engaging with one another allowed them to share insight, Discussing their findings help clarify understanding and reinforces their beliefs. Encourage diligence. A supportive community can motivate individuals to dive deeper into the Word, creating an environment conducive to learning. Foster accountability. Ooh, did I say that word, accountability? I think I said that word, accountability. Let me say it again. Foster accountability. Now, this is a big one. When believers examine teaching together, they hold one another accountable to seek truth and remain anchored in Scripture, not feelings. I don't think God would do it that way, because in Scripture. Now, here's the conclusion. The phrase trust but verify resonates deeply within the context of Acts 17th chapter, verses 10 through 12. Through the example of the Bereans, their noble character in receiving and verifying Paul's message reminds us of the importance of discernment in our faith journey. By trusting God and verifying against Scripture, believers can cultivate a faith that is both vibrant and resilient. Let us strive to embody the characteristics of the Bereans, engaging earnestly with the Word while supporting one another in our pursuit for truth. If you don't read the Bible, if you only let someone else tell you what they say it means, you are subject to believe anything you hear. Now go tell that.
Thanks, Frank, and thank you, our listening friends, for sharing some of your time with us today. Please share this video and press the like button. These presentations have to deal with computer-programmed algorithms that make independent decisions about what people will or will not see. So you can understand that we need your help by sharing this video to get the word out. Till next time, thanks for watching. Truth Matters.